Oh, wow. Um, yeah, I guess. This is the We Trying channel, y'all. Y'all know us by now. We try weird shenanigans and things that Wakanda forever, indeed. I'm Michael. Are you Leroy, or you're Leroy, son of Leroy? What? Okay, fantastic. Um, I don't know. Do you talk Leroy, son of Leroy, or do you just sit there and do poses?
I hadn't looked at myself with this on. Um, which one is it? Is it this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, baby. Black Panther, World of Wakanda. We doing it finally.
Um,
Somebody got around to seeing it.
yeah, I got other responsibilities.
No, you don't.
You know what I'm saying? I got stuff to do.
No, you don't.
Just cause you can go in the middle of the day and not go to
Uh,
work because you want to do whatever. That's fine.
that's because for some people, it's Marvel over everything.
Okay.
I
Uh,
believe I have made that. Hold on. I believe I've made that abundantly clear. I
mhm.
mean, let's talk about what. Do you remember when I got this?
I didn't realize it lit up. I don't think.
I don't know why you don't realize that. That's because you don't
I
pay
don't. I
attention.
don't. I don't think you ever
But
lit it up before when you
I
put it
did.
on.
Well, I didn't have
Oh.
batteries for it then. When I
Oh.
so
Well. Okay.
so for those of you who do not know, we had a previous channel, um, and I was online. I was at work. Remember, they showed it was at Best Buy. It was on sale, and I literally left in the middle of the workday. Told my boss I was going to Best Buy to go buy this.
I mean, yeah, I do remember that pretty much. Yeah. And I guess I just never paid attention to the fact that it lit up. I almost thought that was a totally different helmet. Didn't realize it was the same one.
Yep.
But
So when I say Marvel over everything, I mean it.
right, right. All right. So let's take the cat out of the bag here. We finally got Wakanda Forever, the sequel to Black Panther.
Yep.
Um, the movie that did a billion plus total, um,
Keep
broke
going.
records.
I'm setting up
It,
my
it was a
Wakanda set.
cultural imprint. That
Imprint
got
or
people.
phenomenon?
Yeah, I'm gonna say imprint.
Okay. I don't know if you know what that word means, but
Okay. Um, yeah, I think it imprinted on the culture.
okay.
That's what I meant. Um,
You didn't, but okay.
okay. Um, I'm trying to figure out the words that I have to see this because I just saw it today,
Okay.
and I saw it at 3:10 or whatever. I've had some time to sit with it. I will say this: as much as I love 4DX, I don't know if this was the movie to see in 4DX.
I mean,
Um,
it's not.
just because the action scenes. So you haven't been to a 4DX theater yet, right?
No.
Yeah, it's great if you can see it, but the whenever an action scene happens, your seat moves around like a roller coaster. It
Yeah.
almost kind of takes away from what you're watching because you're bobbing around so much. It's kind of like I'm trying to watch what's going on. So if it was a slower scene, that's fine. But any type of action scene, I was kind of like, it's jumbled to really pay attention. But I mean, besides that, movie's fantastic. I would definitely see it again. Um, this one got me in all the right places. I definitely had tears. Coogler did an amazing job with this movie. Um, I still have some of the same qualms with this that I did with the first Black Panther, and I think that's not Coogler. I think that might be Marvel Studios, but we can get to that when we get to spoilers. But I love the movie.
Okay. Um, I am. I brought that out. Like I got that out of storage because my nerd room has now been converted as a second bedroom for my second son. So a lot of this stuff had to be put up in the attic or the garage or some type of storage. I remember leaving that in one of the closets that I could get to easily. But I honestly, I'd forgotten about it. And you talk about the first movie. Let's go back to the first movie. It came out 2018. It was a pretty much all black cast. It was one of the most expensive. uh, budgeted movies as far as all black cast is concerned, helmed by a black director. Um, you mentioned that it made 1 point. You mentioned how much money it made. If we go to the box office, the eventual total was $700 million domestic, 681 million internationally, 1.3 billion worldwide. Domestic opening of 202 billion.
No,
Um,
million.
let's say billion.
Yeah, you
Sorry,
did
I
it like
can't.
nope, nope. That's not
Sorry,
right.
I'm still learning how to talk with retainers in. That's
Hmm.
a little difficult for somebody whose first language is not English.
Hmm.
I said it every time. So I was. I'm going. to You have always said something very controversial. This is Black Panther was not a good superhero movie. It was a good film, a great film.
Hmm.
Um, we've quibbled about that, but the idea that this was a cultural phenomenon is true. It gave the opportunity for people to see themselves who have not normally seen themselves in a position of power in a culture that was created to exemplify, honestly, blackness.
Hmm.
Um, this movie comes on the heels. This movie. The sequel is now 4 years removed from the first one. The lead character has died, as they have done a job of weaving the fact that Chadwick Boseman has passed into this movie. I would say I have qualms about this movie, and I say this. I don't say this as a prisoner of the moment. I would give this movie a 5 out of 5, considering what it had to overcome, considering what it meant, what it brought to the table. In my opinion, I would give it a 5 out of 5. If I downgrade it a little bit, it's a 4.5. I find this movie almost better than the first one. And we can get into that as far as spoilers, but I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I've had a while to sit with it, go over some of the things. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed what it brought to the table. I thought this was one of Marvel's best efforts. Um, Again, we can get into spoilers later on. We're going to talk about the recast T'Challa movement, what it meant to have a new civilization or culture meet another world power. Um, that's something I think we haven't seen before in the MCU, considering these are literal super beings.
Hmm.
Sometimes when you think about Thor, when you think about Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos, uh, we've dealt with World War II. This was the first time we had seen two culture. This is the first time we'd seen first contact. Um, I thought this was a very powerful film. I love what it did. I have some qualms, some things that we can quibble about or argue about, but I am all on board. If the third one is anything close to as good as the first two, this will rival Captain America as the best trilogy, solo film trilogy in the MCU.
Sure. I think yeah, I'd agree with that. So you said 5 out of 10. I'd probably say 4.5 out of 10 for me.
No, I'm not at a
Um,
10 out of 5.
oh sure, yeah, you
Yeah, yeah.
double 200%. Yeah, sorry, 4.5 out of 5 for me. Um, yeah, like lots to like. Few things I didn't like. Um, Definitely a lot of world building, and it's interesting. I think when I say world building, I don't mean world building for Wakanda. I think that's done well, but like setting up other MCU stuff, I always feel like the MCU is a prisoner of its own success because you have to keep setting up the next story. I almost wish they could just focus on Wakanda and T'Challa and his passing more so than trying
Mhm.
to set up all this other stuff and just give us more time in that world. But I mean, it's a prisoner of its own success, right? You have to set up the next stuff, and this is the end of the movies of Phase Four, so you're
Yes.
kind of wrapping stuff up,
Last
um,
movie in Phase 4. You're right.
getting ready for Phase Five or whatever. But
Remember, we are going to get a World of Wakanda series. So, what that will
mhm.
entail, if that's going to be more of the Dora Milaje, we don't know who the main players in that will be. So maybe we'll get some of that, what you're looking for in that Disney Plus series.
I think the way the movie was, like, I'm like, and we'll talk about the spoiler. Like, I have an idea of what, because is he doing a couple of shows or just one a show? Or we
I'm
don't
not. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at the list. I can pull it up while you talk about it, but I know.
like I have an idea of who I think the show would probably focus on just based on what happened in this thing right now.
Mhm.
Um, and that's fine for them, but I just wish like the runtime. I don't usually think about runtimes for movies and Marvel movies, but this one was kind of like, we're still going, huh? Okay, all right, let's see where we're going. That's fine. But I usually don't think about runtimes, and this one I kind of did think about the runtime of the
Really?
movie. Yeah.
See, I didn't. I was pretty much along for the ride.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, I also this is an aside. So the theater I saw it at, I don't know. Usually, whenever I buy a 40X ticket, I buy it online. I don't buy it at the kiosk or anything. So
Mhm.
I don't know if you can buy the ticket in person and they tell you, hey, this is a 40X theater. That means these things are going to happen. But we were sitting next to people who didn't realize it was a 40X theater.
So there
And
was
I
like a
don't
whole.
understand, which is cool. But like, as soon as you go in there, it says it like right outside, it says 4DX. It's going to have motion. It's going to have lights. It's going to have water. It's going to have all this different stuff. And they were just shocked because they had bought this big old tub of popcorn. Their popcorn hit the ground. Um, they were upset, and I was like, "This is on you. I need you to know before you get into this theater, and you need to act like you got some sense." But other than that, that's just side stuff. But it
Okay.
was funny.
Um, again, I was. We've talked about this before. When will the MCU make its misstep? If you listen to some of the people, it's already happened. In our opinion, it has not happened. We have both discussed there hasn't been a clear vision of what's coming next in the MCU in the storyline because it was the through line to the Avengers was there. We
Hmm.
knew Kevin Feige set it up and said, "Hey, we're going to do these movies and we're building toward the Avengers." So we knew something was coming. We knew after the Avengers what was after that. We were going to get sequels, and we had kind of an idea of who the main villain was for this thread. We don't know what that is. We know who it is right now. We know Kang is coming. We know Kang is going to be in the Ant-Man and Wasp movie Quantumanium. So some people have discussed when will MCU falter? When will some people, the critics have said, some of these movies have been a little lackluster. They haven't hit their mark as far as quality, but the numbers themselves bear out that these movies are still making money. Some more than others. This one is, to me, a return to that earlier MCU phases as far as like a cultural hit, a phenomenon. I think Shang-Chi would have been that if it hadn't been for the
Right in
pandemic.
the pandemic.
I
Question for
think
you: when you saw this, was your theater packed or no?
it wasn't, but that was because I was in more of a matinee setting.
Hmm.
I was the first showing of the day, I believe.
Okay,
And I'm
on
gonna
that
be
on
honest
that
with you,
Thursday or
on
whatever.
that Thursday, I was a little high. Uh, I not let me rephrase. I had gotten some work done on my mouth. For those of you who are just visiting us, uh, we again had a channel before. We appreciate you watching. That's Michael. I'm Leroy. I had braces for a while. I now have the braces out. I've gotten my mouth is fixed. Uh, my wife is like, "Hey, smile more," and I'm like, "No, you know what this is." Um, We s-
Smile more. No.
nah, you know what this
Okay.
is. We saw the Black Klansman on the day we got engaged. Like, come on now. Um, I say that to say that Thursday I got a lot of work done. So my whole face was numb. I didn't get any popcorn. I love Dr. Pepper. I didn't get anything. So I was kind of out of it probably for the first hour of the movie. Like just like it was like not sensory overload, but everything was like, oh. Um, so I'm gonna go see it again. So, but the movie theater had a theme, and as far as like there were different age groups, different races, and everybody was on board with the movie as it went along. It was packed, but it wasn't like sold out. Um, so for me, that was good, considering I wasn't feeling the greatest. But I knew I had to see this. I did not know when I'd be get a chance to see it again.
Mhm.
So that's why I had to see it when I did.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other non-spoiler stuff to talk about because I'm just going to dig right into it.
Mhm.
Um, I think actors and actresses just showed out. They showed up and they showed out. Man, I've heard the early talk about people saying like Angela Bassett killed it. She did. I wonder if she'll get a nom
She better
because
get noms.
you usually don't. And chat will let me know. You'll let me know too. I feel like you got Dark Knight, Heath Ledger. I don't know. Has any other role in a comic book movie been nominated, like for an actor's performance?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, Joker. Yeah, duh. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you got two. Um, Angela Bassett puts in a performance, man. It is great. It is like, oh yeah, she's that bitch. You
Yep.
don't mess with Angela Bassett. She is everything you want. And it's not like other people didn't bring it. It's just her story just propelled her to just stand out more, I think, than other people. Another
Yep.
person I think that really showed out, Letitia Wright. I'm not talking about her politics or anything like that. I'm just talking about in terms of this movie. She did a lot of carrying in this movie in terms of showing her grief and how she was processing it, and she brought it. And I
Yep.
think everybody. I can't think of any. The only person that was kind of like it, and it wasn't that it was bad. It was just like I get what they're doing, and that's kind of how they did it. Riri Williams. Sometimes some of her quipping, I'm like, okay, it's a sign of the Marvel movie. That's fine. But the actress, I thought the actress was great.
Interesting. My
Um,
sister said the same thing. My sister was like, she really wasn't keen on Riri,
mhm,
and I would for me, I would really love to see more people's opinions on that because I loved her. But then again, I love the character.
mhm,
So like, I've got her first appearances. I have her MCU action figure, and I have her Marvel action figure, her Marvel Legends comic action figure. I don't buy MCU action figures. I bought this one. I bought this one. Um, I bought, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't buy the first one,
mhm.
but I bought this one. This is a re-release. This is the Legends Legacy series. I didn't buy the first one. I usually stick to the comic version of the characters. So far, I have bought four MCU Marvel Legends. First one was up there, Captain Carter, and then Shuri, not Shuri, She Hulk. Saying Black Panther, and then Riri Williams. So I don't normally do that, but this movie spoke to me, and so for me, the MCU has won me over as a comic fan, liking both the Riri Williams that I saw on screen and the Riri Williams I saw on the comic panels. I thought they did a very good job of bringing her to the silver screen, but I may be in the minority. We'll see. We know that she's getting her own Disney Plus series. Also, that Disney Plus series will immediately follow World Wakanda Forever. So
Okay.
it'll basically go back to going back to school, back to her neighborhood in Chicago, and how she deals with basically trying to navigate the fact that she's now known in the superhero world.
Mhm.
So um, let's get to it, man. Let's do spoilers.
Okay. Real quick, go see the movie. Right, that's all we can say. Go see the movie. We would definitely
Like,
recommend go
comment,
see
and
the movie.
subscribe. Go see the movie. Right now, we're about to do spoilers. You can catch us on the following things. You can find us on YouTube, where you are. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. Boom. We here, baby. We here.
We here indeed. All right, here we go. All right.
So let's start with spoilers. Let's start with the beginning of the movie because it's not really a spoiler, but this is why I said do not recast T'Challa. Do not let the fact that Chadwick Boseman is not with us resonate. And they did it at the beginning of the movie. When that Marvel title rolled and Shuri was like, and Queen Ramonda came down, told Shuri he's dead. The king is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And that Marvel credits rolled and it was quiet as fuck. And every little inch of that Marvel was nothing but Chadwick and nothing but Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
You knew what kind of movie you were in for.
Now, have you since seen the first Black Panther since he passed?
I have. Yes.
Have you seen it on Disney Plus?
No, I have not.
Okay,
Because
because that
go ahead.
well, because that logo is what is has
Really?
replaced. Yeah, it I think it happened a long time ago, and I guess the good thing about having a bad memory is things are fresh for you again. I remember because I watched Black Panther again yesterday to get ready for this,
See,
and then that played out for me. It's like, oh, and I remember them doing that, but I forgot about it until I saw it.
here's a funny thing. I don't watch the movies on Disney Plus. Even though I have it, I still watch them through my Voodoo account, or
Oh, okay,
I pop in the 4K or the Blu-ray.
okay,
I still do that. Like I still pop in. I do the PS5 because it's 4K and I don't have a 4K. I don't have another 4K player. I still pop in the Blu-ray or I will watch it the 4K version on Vudu.
okay.
Because I sometimes like if you're watching something, because again, my internet sometimes can be spotty. They're still working on the lines out here where I live. I can get stuttering or buffering sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that. So I will still pop it in. So I didn't know that was a thing yet. So as I'm watching, I was like, oh shit, we in
Mm-hmm.
here. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I was like, this was why you, in my opinion, you knew what you were getting and why I felt so strongly about the recast T'Challa movement. That this is the first time in my memory. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, okay, comment down below on this video. This is the first time we have seen a multinational, multi-billion corporation say, we're not going to recast, we're going to allow the creatives to craft a project around the passing of a character that we own, where we could make money off of this. Where they went with Ryan Coogler, because Coogler said, I don't know if I can do this movie. And he was like, I don't want to do it without Chadwick, and I'm not going to do it if you recast.
Mm-hmm.
So they talked about the camaraderie, the bond that these actors formed around each other. Ryan Coogler has said that Chadwick was like a coach on the field. He was the director, Ryan Coogler, but Chadwick was like another director. Again, I could be wrong. If I am, correct me. I have no problem. If I'm wrong, you know me. I'll say I'm wrong. But this is the first time I think in modern history we have seen where someone has died and we have said, okay, let's craft a movie around this character's passing so that you feel it throughout the movie. And that's one of the things, it's not a quibble. You felt the loss of Chadwick in this movie. You felt the loss of T'Challa in this movie. And it was
Mm-hmm.
purposeful. It because here's the thing. You would have felt that if they recast T'Challa. And this way, they made an impact for you feeling Chadwick isn't here.
Mm-hmm.
And worked well because the setup is, again, Angela Bassett said it. We know what you whisper. Their protector is gone. The king is dead. We just now got through last month. What happened in England? The
Queen
queen died.
gone.
Yep.
Hmm.
And how did that affect that country? There was celebration because you got a new the prince consort became king, but she ain't even the real ruler. They have a parliament. This man died, and he was the sole protector leader of this country, and you felt that. And I think those parallels. I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't give a shit about the queen, but I thought it was very interesting watching them mourn, deal with the world politics, and us having to cover the queen and what that meant for world leaders, people paying respect. I just thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. Um, I think the way they opened it up, and you talked about how they set it up. Shuri is a person who, for the most part, I would say is not a spiritual person. She refers more to science,
Technology, you're right.
and technology, and that's definitely a call to whatever faith you believe in terms of. I think Ryan Coogler did something interesting about somebody. I don't know that he was trying to convert somebody to be who may be agnostic or atheist to be a believer. I don't know if that what this movie was saying, but I think it's interesting that his main character Shuri, um, who isn't spiritual, tapped into something by the end of the movie, whatever it was, something called out to her,
A
and
higher
she
power.
realized, yeah, something, whatever you want to call it, a higher power, yeah, exactly, a higher power called out to her, and I just think that was interesting to see her crisis of faith throughout the movie change in terms of going to vengeance to yeah, definitely vengeance, and then to kind of a realization that there's another way we can do this. Thought that was very powerful
I, I
throughout the
I
whole
would
movie.
say before she even got the vengeance, because she didn't get the vengeance first. She was hate when
Yeah.
her and Queen Ramonda was at that were on the Serengeti and they were with the elephants. She literally said, I want to watch the world burn. That's hate. You
Hmm.
are upset. You don't understand how the world works because everything is logical. And you felt like I couldn't do what I needed to do to save my brother. And then, so keep in mind, this is after everything they had gone through to lose him this way. I can understand why she felt the way she felt, but she was at hate first.
Hmm.
Then she got the vengeance because of what happened to her and her mother. Then she eventually got to that spot, but it took her a while. And I think part of it was it's something Mbaku said. Everyone treated her like a child and not preparing her for the fact that she could eventually be the leader of a nation.
Hmm.
And if you remember, because I'm glad you talked about, did you go back and watch the first one? Remember, she was, think of Sprite in the Eternals.
Hmm.
You had all this power, but none of the responsibility. So even when Chadwick died, she might have felt responsible, but she still didn't have to do the day to day meeting heads of state, defending Wakanda. She was allowed to pout, basically, to grieve in the way she felt appropriate, even though her mother tried to reach out to her. She never had to deal with any of this. When she went on the mission to save Riri, she was still a sidekick. Who was in charge of that mission? Okoye.
Hmm.
It was never, she never really had agency. And then when she finally got agency, it was too late by then. And it really was, this movie was more of a battle. Again, we're going into spoilers. Uh, Shuri is the Black Panther. This really was a battle for the soul of Shuri, and to me, the soul of Wakanda, because Wakanda turned on what Shuri was going to do, whether
Hmm.
she became a vengeful, merciless person, or was she going to show mercy to someone who honestly didn't deserve it? She showed Namor.
Shout out to Michael B. Jordan, by the way. Man, I wish they hadn't killed your character. I get it for the first one, but just seeing you, like, everything
Son,
about you is just smooth.
son, did you did, when he was was in all that all white, you was like, "Hey man, how much that outfit cost?" I bet you was like,
was
"Oh,
like,
if
that's
I
a
can
cool.
buy that."
Well, no, because I was like, I can't pull that off. I know
I
that. I
would have
know
tried.
myself.
I would have tried. Mm-mm.
No, sir, not for me.
I just
But I
showed
just
up.
like,
I just showed up at somebody's event in all white.
yeah, but just seeing Killmonger come back again, and I think I feel like I remember, but again, it's the rumor mill. People just kind of say stuff and they're like, Michael B. Jordan's going to be in the second one or whatever. People don't know for sure, but it's cool
Yeah.
to see him back. And I think they did a great way in terms of bringing him back. At one point, I thought, are we going to have like a digital Princess Leia with Chadwick? I'm glad we didn't,
Mhm.
but part of me was kind of wondering. I was like, is that going to happen? And I'm glad it didn't.
I'm glad we didn't get that, but I also love the fact that when because again, you bring up a good point where she was not into the astral plane or she wasn't into these traditions. I didn't feel Chadwick. Mom, that was she wasn't in any of this. And then when she recreated the flower, she goes, and then who does she see? She doesn't see Chadwick. She doesn't see her mom. She doesn't see her dad. She doesn't see any of the ancestors. She sees Killmonger. And why
Mm-hmm.
does she see Killmonger? Because that Negro is the closest she's ever going to get to someone who understands what she feels like. I Joker said it. The Joker is a prime example. What did Alfred say? Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he had his. He. Everybody's like, Killmonger was right, but he still had that hate in him, and she had it too, to the point where she was so mad when Nakia asked her, "Who did you see?" She didn't say, "I didn't see nobody."
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "You guys, I didn't believe in you, and here's the point in time that I needed you, and you send me this Negro who was going to push her over the edge." I thought that was powerful. I thought that was a good way to bring Michael B. Jordan back. That whole "Hey, Auntie" energy was there.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo, bravo.
I want to give another shout out to Richard Schiff. Is that his name? Toby Ziegler
Toby Ziegler.
from The West Wing.
Oh,
Richard Schiff.
the UN ambassador.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Sneaky fellow. Sneaky
yeah,
fellow. I knew you were behind that. You
he
in
has.
France.
So, you think the U.S. was? You think the U.S. is part of that?
I think the US was definitely part of it.
I thought it was just France, but whatever.
It looked like it was just France, but you saw him over there like plotting,
Yeah.
especially when we saw Everett Ross and his ex-wife.
Shout out to Julia Louis-Dreyfus in that purple hair streak, killing it.
Mhm.
That seemed that was a part to me where I was like, okay, this is where we got to tie MCU stuff together. It just seemed kind of weird for them to be married. I feel like that was just something maybe thrown in later to be like, okay, let's connect it back to her and do stuff.
Well, however,
Whatever.
here's the thing. So for the comic nerds out there, her character did used to date Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that was maybe a way to do that kind of connection with Shield and Everett K. Ross and that whole
But
thing.
like
I
Everett
don't.
he doesn't have a connection to Shield in the MCU.
No, but he does have a connection with the intelligence agency, that the apparatus that is the American intelligence. So I don't know if maybe they didn't want to do that with Nick Fury because he had his own thing going on with Secret Invasion, and maybe she shows up in that. I don't know, but I know that they do have those two characters do have a relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that's out there, and because maybe that's what they were trying to do this time with Everett K. Ross.
Could be. But yeah, for me, that was just kind of like that was an unnecessary detail I didn't need. But it didn't take away from the movie. I just thought like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I wanted to shout out. Now, is it Richard Schiff? Is that his name?
I believe Richard Schiff is a character.
No, it's Richard Schiff.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was in this, and then also he is the voice of Odin in the new God of War Ragnarok.
Oh,
and
really?
I heard he puts in a killer performance there.
Interesting.
So it's just fun to see him I mean, he's always been a great actor, but it's just fun to see him in like pop culture stuff now,
Yeah.
whether it's Wakanda or God of War Ragnarok. But
Um, but going back to that scene though, I think here's the thing that I liked more so that we didn't get in the first one because Wakanda's just coming onto the stage. And I hope we do get to see these political machinations further down the line. You know, Sokovia, these different imaginary countries and these political powers. What happens? One, Angela Bassett deserves all the flowers, all the awards, because when she walked in and here's the juxtaposition between her scene, because she had two scenes, the scene at the UN Security Council and the scene where she strips Okoye of being general. Those two, those two were two very different energy levels. She was a had a state. She came in. She had her girls on the side. She came in formation. She
mhm.
sat down. She gave a speech, and she was like, "I know what you whisper. The king is dead." And I thought, Ryan Coogler, you a dirty, petty man. Because did you watch the transition between her as a head of state and the ambassador for France when they went from with her standing there, and that shot that went from Angela Bassett just being all dripped in power, and you could hear "Who run the world, girls," and then they cut to the ambassador of France, and I was like, man, in a fight you can't take this woman. This is much less your nation. I was
Mhm.
like, if they got the hand-to-hand combat, she could put you down. I just thought that was so funny. I was like, Ryan Coogler, that was dirty. Because if I was a lady who was a France actress, I'd have been like, really? That's how y'all gonna do me? I finally get
I
an
don't, I don't,
MCU.
I don't, I don't know who what her. Speaking of people who get MCU movies and then are gone, I have the biggest crush on Lake Bell, and I was happy.
Oh,
Like I was like, oh,
oh.
she's in this movie. I was like, oh, she's
No,
not
she's
in this
not.
movie, and it's like she's it.
She gone.
It was such a weird role. I feel like she's a bigger star to have been in the movie for like 10 minutes.
Man,
I was
her
like, y'all could have got somebody else for that. I don't
and the
know.
guy who was with her, who plays the, I can't remember his name, but he's always in Law and Order SVU. He's usually the internal affairs guy who used to date Olivia Benson,
Okay.
and then they broke up. But I thought that was so funny that these two were in here, and I was like, man, it's gonna be sad when y'all take that spear to the chest. And sure enough, when Lake Bell said they're blue, they're not Wakandas, they're blue. I was like, bye, girl.
Now, to be fair, their helicopter didn't blow up. It just went in the sea. So
Yeah,
maybe she's still alive.
she might
But
be. She
it
might
was
be a
like,
prisoner.
yeah, like it was just weird. They were like
But
Bill's in here. Oh, you're not really in here.
no,
Okay.
no, you're not. But this is the thing that I loved about this was the setup of this movie, the beginning. And again, I brought it up and I wrote it down. That's what when you told me you was like, you writing. I don't think a lot of people realize Ryan Coogler and his team, because I don't want to just say it's him, his writing partner, um, Joe Robert Cole. Do you like? Here's the thing: what people don't understand through history: when two nations meet, it's usually not friendly. When two civilizations discover each other throughout history, one gets the better of the other.
Hmm.
I mean, let's look at we just celebrated in this country, unfortunately, Columbus Day. What happened when Columbus discovered the Americas? It wasn't good for the people who lived here. What happened when Great Britain or the UK or the British Empire discovered places? It wasn't good. It you and we're talking about people colonization, but we've seen this throughout history when two nations usually and I'm trying to remember what the movie it was. You don't like it. Battle Los Angeles.
Did
There's a
I even
part
see that movie?
Battle Los Angeles, there's a part in that movie. Go back and watch the beginning where the opening of that movie talks about the fact that when two civilizations meet, it ain't good for one of them.
Mhm.
And this was one of those times where people don't realize that you're watching history in the making in a pop culture film. Wakanda and to Talokan meet for the first time. Their world leaders met, and what happened? They both had two totally different agendas. Meanwhile, the United States is over there like the player haters ball. Hey, 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 hey.
Right.
We want vibranium. Hey, 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 hey. Just over in the cut, just waiting to pounce. And I thought that was just so powerful. The fact the first time you see Namor and you see Queen Ramonda, and you're like, oh, this ain't gonna go good for one of y'all.
And you talk about that first reveal. I really like how up until this point, Wakanda has just known everything about everybody, and they're not used to having their technology and cultural supremacy challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And for Namor to just come up out of that water like it's nothing, Namor's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, y'all don't realize I can come here anytime I want."
Yep.
But for them,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "How'd you get here?" It's like,
Yep.
I chose not to come.
Not only that, he knew about them.
Hmm.
And see, that's the one thing you talk about that Wakanda, like, and here's the juxtaposition from the first movie. Wakanda was considered a third world country. Meanwhile, they're over here eating mangoes, just singing, oh, my baby, just having a great time, just chilling, not having any of the problems that the rest of the world has, which is what Killmonger was mad about.
Hmm.
But the fact of we see a different Wakanda, you're now on your toes. You have to defend, where before you were able to do whatever you wanted to do because nobody was paying you no attention. I liken Wakanda to that team that nobody checks, that football team that ain't nobody checking for. And what happens? You come out and you beat the number one team, and you're like, wait a minute. They were making all these wins in the past. We weren't paying you no attention.
Hmm.
Then they beat Alabama when Alabama was undefeated, and you were like, wait a minute. You ain't supposed to do that. Oh, did we not tell you we have all 5-star recruits and we've been holding on to them for years?
Hmm.
Y'all ain't supposed to do that. That's Wakanda. And now everybody's gunning for Wakanda because they know there's a resource that has allowed them. Because you saw United States, your boy Richard Schiff was like, why you ain't sharing?
Right.
It's just like, and that's the first time, think about it. America probably was like, wait a minute, we're not number one? Really?
Hmm.
Oh no, we need some of that. And I think that whole idea behind these world powers in a pop culture movie, I think resonates that you get to see how the world stage works for people who probably don't give a shit about politics, who don't care about world building or the fact of how economies and militaries play against one another.
Do you think Kugler was trying to say something in the idea of these cultures of
Yes.
minority? Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
minority cultures mirroring each other and then fighting each other as opposed to trying to find a way to work together. Was he saying anything in that?
Not only that, in the sense of this is what happens to minority cultures when world powers get involved. Think about it. Here's again, Wakanda is a nation that has resources. What has every African nation had to deal with? Some other nation coming in, stealing all their resources and taking it back to their country.
Hmm.
Whether it's the British Empire, whether it's the Chinese, what they're doing right now, whether it is the Dutch, whether it is America, we have always, other countries have always gone to these African nations and have pulled these resources out and has left these countries in shambles. And here you have an African nation who was like, nah, bro, you not about to do that here.
Hmm.
And in just that little snippet, you saw the United States was like, why we can't have this? And it was, and then on top of that, you have this other nation that Wakanda has no idea is out there. And not only are they out there, they mad deep, son. You
Yeah.
heard Mbaku, so Mbaku said they call him Cuckoo Khan. They call him the feather serpent god. He he
You've been
will
working on your
de-
accent?
I've been trying,
Okay.
I don't know if it comes off better with the retainer or anything,
Okay.
but but that was when he said, when he talked about we have books in the mountains. I was, son, M'Baku was slaying it
He
in
was
this movie.
Winston
He
Duke, man. He's great.
Son, when he called Okoye, you bald demon, my theater erupted.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think he was trying to make a message that not only do you have these brown and black civilizations who have resources, who are powerful, but what happens when they meet, and what happens when they cannot come to some sort of agreement. Like a lot of people, oh, the MCU, you literally got to see a history lesson, because there's soft power and there's hard power. And he tried soft power. He did. He tried, hey, I'm trying to woo you. I need y'all on my team. But if you ain't on my team, you go be on my team.
I'm almost, if you want to have soft power, maybe you don't make that second part of the threat. Maybe you don't say that. Maybe you just start with the first part and be like, okay, good day.
But again, the carrot and the stick.
Mm-hmm.
He tried the carrot, and here's the thing, and I want to get into more of Tanak's portrayal of Namor. That's Namor's character.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't, because he has always been, he doesn't have that wherewithal to talk to you and understand. He wants what he wants when he wants it. And Namor, when he said, "My enemies called me Namor,"
Mm-hmm.
like that's, as we have grown up in comic world, his name is Namor. That's how he is. So the carrot in his way, that was the carrot. In his mind, I was being nice.
Go to paraphrase Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. That was me showing you mercy. Or yeah,
Boom,
or me not going
boom.
full. Okay, sure.
Look at you. Look at you.
So in terms of his name, is it the same origin as the comic, or did they make that for the
No,
movie? Okay.
but yeah, like Ryan Coogler talked about the fact that we were going to invest in Latino culture, Latin culture, specifically the Mayans. If you go to on YouTube, Entertainment Weekly, it might be Entertainment Weekly or Variety, has a roundtable with Ryan Coogler, um, Lupita, Letitia, Danae, Tanak. I'm trying to remember the woman who plays Namora. Hold on.
Oh, I
Want to
just
make
looked. I
sure.
just looked her up. Mabel Cadena, maybe, or Mabel.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mabel, and the guy who plays Atuma,
Alex
Alex.
Levinanali
Yes,
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. So they have a very great interview. It's about 20 minutes where they talk about the fact that Ryan Coogler was very cognizant of making sure I put these cultures in a, not necessarily in a positive light, but an accurate portrayal. If you right now, they already have a mural that is beautiful of Namor in Mexico in his whole feather serpent god garb. It is beautiful. Go look it up. You can go on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you get your social medias. It is amazing. It's beautiful. Um, in the comics, it's the Atlanteans. This famous city of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But Namor, the character translated. They didn't go with this fantastic city underwater that was basically white people who just fell into the ocean. They were they literally went into the water willingly, created their own civilization, came back and was like, the surface world is F to the A.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't coming back here. And have been just chilling again for hundreds of years,
Right. Right.
and only came up because who? T'Challa opened the borders and told people about Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
It's these little, and that's the thing that I think people, they're not, the connections. The only reason why we know about them is because of T'Challa. And that's why I think the cameo from Killmonger was so powerful because he talked about it. T'Chaka was dirty. He was a hypocrite. T'Challa was too noble.
Mhm.
I got shit done. You more like me than you want to admit. Because the reason why y'all in this mess is because of nobility.
Yeah,
So I really like that Namor. You call him a villain if you want to, but I don't. He's a man trying to doing the best he can to protect his people.
he and man, I wish you had seen Black Adam so we could kind of compare The Rock's portrayal of Black Adam to how Tanakh
Mhm.
Workta did Namor. Because I feel like I don't know if I would, and I don't know enough literary stuff to say if Namor is an anti-hero or not. Would you consider
He's a
him?
world leader.
He's a world leader. Okay.
He's a
Um,
world leader. I mean, do you think about what world leaders? And this is the thing that I think too, where Shuri was a child and didn't understand what her mother was going through. As a world leader, and again, T'Challa had to deal with it too, because remember, he didn't understand it too. Because his father was like, yo, what you want me to do? I got this little Negro running around to Oakland trying to start a revolution.
mhm.
I got to protect home. I don't care about these people. And that's what Killmonger was trying to get people to understand. Your high nobility left me in the hood. That is what a world, and again, the ethical questions behind world leaders have to do on a regular basis. Not to bring politics into this, but look, we cover the news. What happened in Afghanistan when Biden pulled out? It was a clusterfuck.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
that's the choice he made based on previous administrations. He said, I'm going to get us out of this war. And he did. But it wasn't good. It wasn't
Right.
pretty. We saw that video of a C 130 and people hanging off of the landing gear. Like, but that was his. We saw the terrorist attack that killed service members. But that's what a world leader has to do. And whether good or bad, you have to make that own determination of what you like. And that's why I say, to me, Namor is not a hero or a villain. He's a world leader, and that's to me where the MCU is about to get really interesting because now it's not about just good or bad. It's my people versus your people. And I'm going to do everything I can for my people. And at the end of the day, fuck you and yours. And that's Namor. And if you if you don't like it, but that's how he's always been.
Um, I want to talk about a part that I really didn't, the part that didn't vibe for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Iron Man Lady Edition.
Riri Williams.
Riri Williams. The actress Dominique Thorne, she was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I felt like they tried to give her a little bit of levity to make things light, which I think it was fine every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But her character arc, I felt like there were so many scenes, and clearly, I feel like she was meant to echo, oh, this is definitely going to be the next Iron Man replacement. Like, because she had the scene where she's building out her armor the same way Tony did.
Mm-hmm.
She had there were a couple, at least 3 or 4 shots where it seemed like they were mirroring Iron Man 1 with Tony Stark.
Okay.
I assume Ryan Coogler did that on purpose because there were so many of them. Like
No.
once it's just, you don't think he did it on
No,
purpose?
hold on. Keep going, and I'll say I'll tell you why. No.
I feel like there were scenes that like just mirrored shot for shot how it looked in Iron Man 1.
Mm-hmm.
If it happened once, okay, it's a coincidence. But it happened like 3 or 4 times, and me, I was like, okay, I feel like they're trying to hammer home that this is going to be the new Iron Man replacement.
Now here's my
and I didn't need that personally.
I'm open to this. I'm hoping she's in here because a lot of times they've been adding action figures to the boxes because they're windowless and it hadn't been the action figures. So I'm hoping old girl's in here. But I love Riri. Yes and no for what you're saying. Yes, they tried to make sure the connection between Iron Man was there, but that's how it was in the comics. So in her first appearance, she was, man, I've been waiting a while to open this. Come on, girl. Woo-hoo. Oh, I hope my son never gets a hold of this because it is not going to be in the condition it is right now. Pew 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 pew. Where's our laser blast and our helmet? So in the Invincible Iron Man, I want to say it's volume 4. Is it volume 4? I don't know. I have to go back and look. I got it in the room somewhere. Um, she mirrors Iron Man and how she created her suit with junk. Um, she's not a street kid per se, but she doesn't come from the Ivy League background that Tony Stark does.
Hmm.
She has to build her suit while she's at school. They aged her up a little bit, but she's a kid prodigy. So it does mirror her building her suit, Iron Man building his suit in a cave. That was done on purpose because she built her suit out of scraps.
Hmm.
Um, she was sort of the replacement for Iron Man because in her storyline, Tony Stark dies. Um, not the same way, but here we go. Here's a helmet. Um, so it wasn't that Ryan Coogler. It's yes and no. It wasn't that Ryan Coogler was making it so that she was replacing Tony Stark because Tony Stark is gone in the movie. It was because it was that way in the comics.
Hmm.
She she comes up, she goes under Tony Stark's wing because he recognizes something in her, and she modeled her armor after him. Then Tony Stark dies. So then he becomes back, and here's the spoiler alert. Maybe this is the rumor. Robert Downey Jr. may come back for the Ironheart series as an AI because Tony Stark downloads himself as an AI, and then that allows him to come back in real life. Comic, he is a voice in her AI, like Jarvis.
Hmm.
So that's why I understand where you're coming from, but that was like that in the comics. So it's kind of like one of those things where like, shh,
You are a grown ass man.
I am with kids.
Hmm.
I'm a parent.
Hmm.
That should scare you. That should scare you, man. That I'm a parent. Over here playing with these toys, my brother.
Hmm.
I'm like, but see, it's funny you said that because my sister said the same thing, and I'm like, I loved Riri. Like I've been waiting for her portrayal on screen for a while, ever since they named her. I thought it was amazing how they introduced her. The fact that she was the link, that she was the link, and she was the scientist. As soon as they were like the scientist, I was like, it's Riri. Like I
Hmm.
knew it. I loved her introduction. I'm enjoying everything about her. I understand some people may not feel the same way, but for me personally, I got to figure out how this goes on here. Um, ooh, oh, got it. Okay. Um, I am feeling everything about her. Um, I thought she was funny when she told Shuri, she was like, "Can we call the Black Panther?" Here's another thing. Notice what Shuri said. We don't have the Black Panther anymore. Shuri wasn't trying to get another Black Panther,
Right.
and that was, I think, a source of contention between her mom and some people, where they were honestly, who was our defender? Who was our protector? The Dora Milaje were great, but they're no Black Panther. And it wasn't until Namor showed up that they was like, oh, yeah, we need a Black Panther. And
Hmm.
she was like, oh, y'all stop having Black Panthers when I get kidnapped? Because to Riri, Black Panther is that dude. Like I think I think what we're starting to see is we see the MCU, oh, these are great stories. But for the people who live in the MCU, remember in Hawkeye, they had a freaking Broadway show, The Attack on New York. Like
Yeah.
these are larger than life characters to the point where they were like, "Don't y'all get paid in Winter Falcon?" And it like they're celebrities, and that was something where Riri was like, "I, how, don't I got Black Panther no more?" Like, and so to her it didn't register that, oh, y'all should just get another one.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until Shuri basically, because again, here's the thing. And this again, this is why I said this, to me, this movie's a 5 out of 5. Shuri didn't understand that her saying I need to go with you, instead of like telling Okoye her plan and all this other stuff, her mother sending Nakia down there, they might have been able to work it out
Yeah.
if Queen Ramonda had known what Shuri's plan was. But
Hmm.
Ramonda was like, "Where is my child?" And that powerful scene between her and Okoye, where Okoye is like, "And she not given enough? Husband dead, son dead, daughter who knows?"
Hmm.
It's like my whole family is gone, and you can still see your traitorous husband. You sided with Killmonger when he took over. And I thought that was powerful. The fact of, oh, I ain't forgot about that, sister.
Hmm.
When I had to go to Mbaku and go through the mountains to look for sanctuary, where were you? I thought, ooh, I was like, that was a deep cut. Because again, you think everybody friends. She ain't forgot about that.
Yeah. I kind of wish that we had, and granted, it's not a fairy tale ending, but I kind of wish Okoye had gotten more resolution with Queen Ramonda about that before she died. Um, just for my benefit, I would have liked that, but I understand it served the story well. She had to die. I will say this: I need the MCU to stop killing off these Oscar-winning actors and Academy Award-winning actors. Don't kill off Anthony Hopkins as Odin and Angela Bassett as Ramonda. Keep them in these shows because they're incredible actors, but you do what you got to do, I guess.
Hey man, but I will say this. I didn't see Queen Ramonda dying. I didn't see Angela Bassett dying. But good Lord, man, when she did, I was like, yo.
Yeah,
I was like, are they about to do it for real?
yeah. I
I
didn't
was
think
like,
she was going to die.
oh,
I thought at one point Okoye was going to die when she first fought. That
Atuma?
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah, I thought that
I was
too.
like, oh,
I thought
she
that
not
too.
about to win this fight.
Oh yeah, I thought that too. You're right. I thought she was about to get it. But
Yeah.
so I'm looking at my list. This is for the reasons that I name and so many more. I am a firm supporter in not recasting T'Challa
Hmm.
and allowing for this storyline to play out. What happens when a monarchy loses its king, and its king is its sole protector? I am cool with that. My only problem with this movie was I did not get these guys, and I'm hoping we do see them eventually. So, can you read that name?
It's backwards, so I don't know what it's.
So it's the Hatut Zerays.
Okay.
They are Wakanda. They're basically Wakanda special forces.
Beyond the Dora
Um,
Milaje.
yes. So the Dor Milaje answer to the king,
Hmm.
and if you notice, they were in the throne room. They work with the king. They are protectors of royalty. These are the dudes who get shit done. These are the people who show up and like, what was that? And you're like, ha. And so I wanted to see them. This was the one thing a couple of videos ago, and you were like, well, what did you want to see? And I was like, this is what I want to see. I want to see
Hmm.
these guys. The spoiler of, since we are doing spoilers, I bugged out at the end when he said my name is, I was like, yo,
So which
T'Challa
which
had a
oh,
son. Yeah,
I didn't need him to be named T'Challa. I thought that was too much.
really.
Yeah, I didn't need him to be named T'Challa. I liked his name being Tucson. I thought that was good enough.
So here's the funny thing. So a lot of people, I don't know where this goes. Um, is there instructions somewhere around here? But It's funny they said Tucson when it's I wonder because in the comics in the new Black Panther, I think volume 7, I think it's volume 7 right now, issue 4, there's a character named Tosin.
Hmm.
And notice he said, my Haitian name is, that little
Hmm.
boy's cute as hell. He
Hmm.
like I need to see more of him. He was hilarious. And just that little scene. I love the fact that Shuri did not know he had a son. And that was what Queen Ramonda was trying to tell her.
Hmm.
When and I'm interested to see how that plays out
Do you think we're gonna
because
get like a time jump and then he'll be a teenager and he'll be the new Black Panther?
eventually I think we're going to see him assume the mantle one day.
Hmm.
I think that's probably in the future. I think because if you remember, Kevin Feige said we're never recasting T'Challa
Right.
in the 616. He
Hmm.
says that he's dead. And I think that's a powerful statement for again a black character to not be recast, to for them to say this character, boom, oh wait, boom, that this character will stay dead for this storyline, and we will have Black Panther will return. Other people can wear the mantle, but this 616 Black Panther is dead. And I think this is a good way, in my opinion, to keep Black Panther going, to bring another T'Challa in. I'm all for it. So
So we talked about the Midnight Angels, or we didn't talk about them, but they talked about the Midnight. I think that's what the suits that Shuri made,
yes,
the blue
yes,
suits, Midnight Angels.
yes.
In
Mhm.
my mind, I feel like that's kind of like where a spinoff show would go,
Okay.
and that kind of adds the
Oh,
fact that they casted Michaela Cole adds credence to it too. Because like she's a
okay.
big name who didn't have a lot to do in this movie, but if she gets a spin on TV show, that would make sense.
Okay, I see where you're going. So those suits are in the comic. I thought that
Hmm.
was very well done. That was cool. Those suits are in the comics, and I thought they were badass. I was like, good, bravo. Oh, I know where this goes now. Um, I was like, bravo,
Hmm.
bravo, baby girl. Again, I'm the Mayan culture to me stood out so much. Um, Lupita talks about the fact that she really loved Ryan Coogler, including the Mayan culture and Latin culture, because a lot of people don't realize this. Um, Lupita is both Latin and African.
Hmm.
She speaks fluent Spanish.
I mean, when she was speaking in the movie, she sounded fluent.
She speaks fluent Spanish. She is all I believe she's Nigerian and Mexican. Hold on, let me make sure. But she talks about the fact that she loved the fact that Ryan Coogler allowed her to put that part in her heritage on screen. Yep, here it is. Lupita Nyong'o was born March 1st, 1983, in Mexico City, Mexico, to Kenyan parents. Uh, her father, a senator, was then a visiting lecturer in political science. She was raised in Kenya. Her parents sent her back to Mexico for 7 months to learn Spanish. So, like, this was in her wheelhouse. She talks about the fact that her character was a war dog.
Hmm.
um, Astutely pointed out by once again Winston Duke Mbaku. He said, Nakia saved Shori. I'm quite sure Queen Ramonda will reward her with a lifetime banishment.
Yeah, that was
I
yeah.
rolled.
Winston Duke was
I
killing it.
rolled. He was. But she talks about the fact that I got to show off different sides of my heritage. But also, she was like, hey, man, learning Korean on the fly was a little hard, and this was easier. Um, Again, I was all for it. The Mayan culture, seeing how powerful that was, just as we got to see T'Challa and have what that meant for us, seeing a character who, let's be honest, Namor was no bitch.
Hmm.
They say he is as powerful as Thor and Hulk. Um, that dude brought it. Like I'm shocked Shuri survived. But you got that hate in your heart. You can get through anything. I
Hate,
know
hate,
from
hate will
experience.
power you.
Hate, hate,
It
hate,
will
hate,
move you
hate.
forward. Yeah, indeed.
Move.
Um, is there anything? So I've talked about the stuff that I didn't like in the movie. Is there anything you didn't like in the movie?
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get to see these dudes. I would have liked to have seen them. I want to see more of Wakanda and its effect. Because again, I understand we had to get to the part of this movie was honoring Chadwick and the fact that the king is dead. I think that was purposeful. But I do, you're right. I do want to see more how Wakanda operates on the main stage. Like we saw the mercenaries show up at one of these outreach or these stations. What is Wakanda like now as a world power? Because
Mm-hmm.
you think about it, Wakanda's a world like Wakanda's up there with the United States. We're not used to a country being on our level, if not more so. Um, I would like to see that effect, the T'Challa effect, and how that has resonated throughout the rest of the world. That is something I would like to see. I would like to see how world leaders and how the MCU at large deals with, because here's the thing that the comics have done a good job of that I think the MCU hasn't. T'Challa was on the Avengers for a short period of time, so to speak. How do you operate when your teammate is king, your other teammate is a world leader? Again, like a war, think about that for a second. T'Challa ain't signing no Sokovia Accord, like that, and that's the kind of stuff that I want to see. That interplay that we get to see in the comics in the MCU on a real world stage. So we
Mm-hmm.
got to see the Civil War play out. But we know the Sokovia Accords, go fizzle out. What happens when vibranium gets into the wild like Claw had? That's the kind of stuff that I want to see. What happens when the world finds out about Namor?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you said an underwater emissary? Like, what you like? I don't know how many ambassadors can swim. It's like,
Right, especially
like,
down that far. Yeah.
and that's the kind of stuff I want to see. What happened again? We got to hear it. Namor said the word.
Uh-oh. Hold on, your signal's going out on my end. It's coming back. Let's see. You back yet?
Can you see me? Am I back?
Hold on. You might be back. Maybe. Yeah. You said he got to say the word what?
I'm back.
Yeah.
He got to say the word mutant. Namor is the first
Oh.
mutant in Marvel
Mm-hmm.
Comics.
He also said Imperious Rex. I didn't know what that
Yes,
tied
that's his
into.
catchphrase.
Oh, okay.
That is his catchphrase.
Got it. Because I just came out of nowhere. I was like, what is this? I was like, okay, that's cool. Whatever. I mean, we've been going about an hour. Any other major points you want to hit on your list? Did you hit them all? I just hear you clicking over there. I don't know if you hear me or not. Oh, there we go. Leroy left for a second, so we got internets.
I'm back. I'm
Great.
back, baby.
You're back indeed. Did you hear what I was saying?
Yes, Imperious Rex is Namor's catchphrase. So
Okay.
that's what he yells like when Hulk smash or whatever. That's his cat, the Imperious Rex, and he kind of whispered it basically when he says that, get the out of the way.
Okay.
He has come to wreck shit.
Okay.
The fact that Namor said it, he said it, and so this is where a lot of people, I know a couple people in my movie theater were like, oh, he said it. I'm a mutant. He in Marvel Comics, he is the first mutant. He is the first one. Now we know Namor isn't, and it's actually Apocalypse, but he was the first mutant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see. So now you have Wakanda, you have Talokan. What happens to the world when Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom, shows up? Because remember, he's another world leader. Now he is considered a villain, moves somewhere into the anti-hero range, depending on who writes him and what's going on. But Doctor Doom is a dictator, an absolute ruler of Laterra. What happens when he shows up on the main stage? Because this is a man who has been Sorcerer Supreme and has the intellect second to only Reed Richards,
Mhm.
without any of the moral compass. That's
So
what I want to see.
he's a genius. You.
Nah, he's worse than me.
Oh no.
Doom killed an entire universe because he didn't want to admit that Reed Richards was right. He literally saved the world. He went to another Doctor Doom, found happiness. He was friends with Reed Richards in one of the latest Doctor Doom series, and he lost his mind and destroyed an entire universe. He's that petty.
Okay.
I'm not that petty.
Yeah, probably not.
Like I don't think people understand how petty and dangerous Doctor Doom is. And that is a true, that's what a lot of people are like, Kang, that's where you going with this? Doom is, I put it like this. Doom is worse than Thanos, in my opinion. Doom is that dude because where Thanos just wants genocide, yada yada, he'll go. Mm-mm. Doom, Doom is like the British Empire. Make the world doom.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm gonna wrap up unless you got something else. All right, cool. Yeah, y'all know. I mean, we've been going about an hour and some change here. Had good thoughts on it. I mean, my thoughts. Go see the movie. I enjoyed it. I want to see more. Oh, we didn't talk about this. So at the end of the movie, M'Baku challenges whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is
Shuri? Yep.
Well, no, I don't think he's challenging Shuri. Because I don't think Shuri wants to run the country. I think Shuri's going to be the Black Panther.
I think she doesn't want to run the country. But again, the Black Panther has always been the leader of the nation. So, and I think that's what I want to see in the third season, or not third season, the third movie and World of Wakanda. How does this work? Because again, the person who was black, because remember, when T'Chaka died, thanks to Baron Zemo, T'Challa became king. He was the Black Panther.
Yeah, but at that time, he was already the Black Panther before he became the king.
True, but but we knew he was going to be king. So
sure.
Who's going to run the country? Because I believe you're right, but they ain't got no queen. They ain't got no king. And M'Baku's like, hey man, I want to be in charge because I've been doing it. Like when they evacuated the city, where did they go? So I understand where he's coming from. But as Black Panther and as the daughter of the queen, Shuri would be the person who would be in charge. She's the last person in the monarchy.
Sure. Let us know in the comments who you think what's going to happen in Black Panther 3 and the World of Wakanda and all the different Wakanda stuff that Ryan Coogler's working on. Leroy's going to keep playing with his toys or his action figures over there, having a good time. That's fun. Like, comment, subscribe here on our YouTube channel, YouTube and Facebook. You can find us at We Tryin'. You can also find us at We Tryin' Y'all at Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I think that's it for us for now. We'll be back with more videos of reactions and reviews. Leroy's going to put on his helmet or do something. I don't know what he's doing. He's just going to hold it.
I need him to make a Shuri helmet too.
Okay, fair enough. Make a Shuri helmet. We out, folks. Peace.
Deuces.